Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's doing well, and welcome to day 54 of reading 101 essays that will change the way you think. As always, shout out to Brianna West for the text, and today's title is The Importance of Stillness, Why It's Imperative to Make Time to Do Nothing. We're conditioned to associate stillness with inactivity and inactivity with failure. We're trained to be overworked and to believe that if at any point we are doing something that contributes to our goals, we're not doing anything. It makes us unable to just be with ourselves, our purpose, only legitimate if it's serving someone or something else. In fact, we are so opposed to being with ourselves. In a study done by the University of Virginia, over 700 people were asked to just sit in a room alone with their thoughts for 6 to 15 minutes alongside a shock button that they could press if they wanted out. 67% of men and 25% of women chose to shock themselves rather than to sit quietly and think. Stillness is psychologically imperative, though. We are not built to be running all the time, and doing so leads to absolutely detrimental effects, the least of which I will touch on here. When overworking is our identity, we lose track of who we actually are, and in the process, we stop living actual lives. This is the first point. Number one, what we call doing nothing is actually crucial for our psychological selves and is essential to maintain a happy, peaceful, balanced life. The idea that we must always be doing something is completely cultural and completely unhealthy. Notice how we only feel we are doing something when that something can be externally measured by other people. We live in a hustle culture society, and everybody is just go, go, go. There's no resting, there's no time, and we wonder why we lead such sad and short lives. I always watch these videos, and the people who live the longest, the people who are happiest, are a lot of people who are living remotely. There are a lot of people who are living in small villages in Japan, and they're the most physically healthy people you will ever meet. Their mind is still so healthy because they don't overwork themselves, because they sit with themselves, they sit with nature, and they're not always constantly trying to do something. They're not always trying to chase after a goal. They're not working. And a lot of us, even when we stop working, we're still working. Our minds are working. We're stressed about something. It's always work. There's never any real stillness. And that's a societal thing because we live in a hustle culture society. A society where we need to make X amount of money. We need to achieve X amount of things, or we're a failure. Number two, in the do nothing state, the brain is superpowering itself. It's completely unconscious tasks or integrating and processing conscious experiences. In the resting state, neutral networks can process experiences, consolidate memories, reinforce learning, regular attention and emotions, and in turn keeps us more productive and effective in our day-to-day work. It's like with going to the gym, with lifting weights, with running, whatever it is, with physical exercise, your body needs to shut off, and that's sleeping, right? Your body needs to do nothing in order for your muscles to grow. In order for you to get optimal gains, you need the most amount of sleep. A lot of people, they leave gains on the table because they don't sleep enough. And it's like that with your mind too. You're not processing certain information, experiences in your life because there's no shut off. Your mind isn't completely turned off and you're not able to process those things. So you need to spend some time to just do nothing. And it's intentionally doing nothing, because a lot of us will say doing nothing is shutting our brain off and watching TV. But that's not the same thing as sitting pitch black 5 minutes before you go to bed. Nothing. No phone, no distractions, nothing. Just sitting there in absolute silence. A lot of us, we cannot do that. Number 3, human beings are not designed to be continually expending energy whilst conscious, and it has a massive effect on the very thing they're trying to put their energy toward, their work. Tony Schwartz cited a study in his piece on productivity and restfulness in the New York Times, which proved that not getting enough sleep or do nothing time was the highest predator of the on-job burnout. Another Harvard study he cited estimated that sleep deprivation costs American companies $63.2 billion a year in lost productivity. Number 4, when you do not sit and allow yourself to reflect, reconcile, and acknowledge what you feel, you actively give said feelings more power. Stephanie Brown argues there's this widespread belief that thinking and feeling will only slow you down and get you in your way, but it's the opposite. Most psychotherapists would contend that suppressing negative feelings only gives them more power, leading to intrusive thoughts, which can prompt people to be even busier to avoid them. We need to allow ourselves to reflect. Self-reflection, sitting and reconciling, thinking about your day, thinking about your experiences, what you want with your life. We need to understand that we need to make time for that. We need to make time for those things. Because if you never reflect on what you did today. It's like that's one of the easiest things that you can reflect on. You have a certain goal for yourself. If you don't reflect on the things you do in a day, you're never going to get closer to that goal, because you're never going to understand, why am I not getting closer? Or why am I getting further and further away? Because you're not reflecting, because you always have some sort of noise, you're always thinking, and you're not sitting with yourself. You're not sitting with your thoughts and asking yourself, what could I have done differently? What am I doing on my day-to-day basis that I can change? What is bringing me closer? What is bringing me further away? And that's why you need to spend time to do that. Number 6, creativity thrives in stillness and nothingness. Creativity is fostered in the state of stepping away from the project, task, or issue at hand, and distracting oneself with other day-to-day tasks. Countless studies show that people who are deeply creative on a consistent basis, who develop the most innovative and unique ideas, are the ones who free themselves from structure and allow their minds to wander, rather than focus on various tasks at hand. Einstein called this initiating the sacred intuitive mind, as opposed to the rational mind, which he sees as its servant. I feel like this is very similar to when I know there are people who write books, and once they get some sort of writer's block, they have to leave. They get up, they go on a vacation, they go to some villa, and there's no structure in their lives. They wake up when they wake up, they write when they write, and that's how they're most creative, because there's no structure to their day. Their normal structure is they wake up, they have a 2-hour time slot dedicated to writing, and that's when they experience that writer's block, and it doesn't allow them to be creative. What allows you to be creative is unstructured thoughts, because I feel like you're creating some sort of construct in your mind, this box that you have to stay in when you have structure in your life. When everything feels like you're chained down, your creative self doesn't have free range. Number 6, you're more likely to actually achieve what you set out to do if you work on it intermittently, and you'll maintain a healthier, happier lifestyle in the process. Keeping your mind in a consistent state of focus leads to life shortening and quality depleting stress. And while you're in the process of neglecting the things that also matter, your health, your family, your state of mind, you're more likely to reach your saturation point and simply give up on what you're devoting all your time and energy to in the first place. If we're always so focused, like we'll eventually lose it because we'll get tired, right? If you don't allow yourself to vacation, you don't allow yourself to do nothing, you're eventually gonna break. Your mind will break, your productivity will break. Because if you don't ever take rest days at the gym, if you just constantly always hit chest, every day chest day, yeah, of course your chest is gonna give out. You're gonna get injured, you're not gonna get optimal gains. It's the same thing with your focus levels. You think, I need to stay focused all the time. I have to do this thing 24/7 all the time. I can't take any time to rest. I can't take any breaks. But taking breaks boosts your productivity. Doing nothing boosts your productivity. So don't think that you need to always be focused, always be grinding. And yes, you should always be doing something and not always relaxing, always doing nothing. But it's that balance, because that balance boosts that productivity. That balance is how you get optimal gains. Number 7, it helps you become more mindful, more aware of the present moment. Cultivating mindfulness aids in reducing general stress, improving memory, decreasing emotional reactivity, more relationship satisfaction, cognitive flexibility, empathy, compassion, general decrease of anxiety and depression, increase of overall quality of life, and on and on. Mindfulness is very, very important. Being present in the moment is how you cultivate all these positive things in your life. Improving memory, decreasing emotional reactivity, cognitive flexibility, empathy, all these things comes with being mindful. And being mindful is being present, being more aware and more present in your current moment. And how you do that is you do nothing. It's like grounding. How you ground yourself, breathing exercises, nature walks, doing things that aren't distracting you, doing things that aren't constantly having your mind running and thinking about work, thinking about how I'm going to make more money, right? Number 8, it's not taking a break or time away from what you are actually supposed to be doing. It's what human beings are designed for. Tim Crater argues, idleness is not just a vacation, an indulgence, or a vice. It is as indispensable to the brain as vitamin D to the body. And deprived of it, we suffer a mental affliction, as disfiguring as rickets. The space and quiet that idleness provides is a necessary condition for standing back from life and seeing it whole, for making unexpected connections and waiting for the wild summer lightning strikes of inspiration. It is, paradoxically, necessary to getting any work done. In a society of hustle culture, a society of you gotta grind, we live in a society where grinding is very normalized. If you're not grinding, then something's wrong with you. If you're not grinding, then you're just some lazy person who is a deadbeat. You're never going to achieve anything in your life. You hold no value to society because you're not grinding. Because that's the new normal. The new normal is burning yourself out until you can't go anymore. Chasing after these unrealistic expectations just to get a nice car, just to get a nice house, just to flex, get a nice Rolex, $50,000 watch, get some designer, whatever it is. Society is too focused on material things, too focused on grinding. We're focused on grinding for the things that we can get, not for the people we become, but the things that we acquire, and that's a problem. It's a problem because it causes burnout. It causes you to not actually live a fulfilling life for yourself, but it's constantly trying to impress people. Constantly doing things for the sake of flexing, for the sake of wanting to feel accepted for the things that you provide, the things that you achieved. So tomorrow's title is Why You're Struggling in Your Relationships Based on Your Attachment Style. So I hope everyone enjoyed today's video. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 55.